And if you guys want to just share where you're coming from this morning, let's get this call kicked off. All right, Todd Falcone's on. Good morning. Aaron Parker's on. Chris Robinson. Good morning, everybody. Super excited to do this call, but I'm going to be honest with this topic. Oh, Lord. Okay, so this topic is look at yourself when people quit. So interesting topic today for sure. Some of you guys, hopefully I don't get you too much in your feelings, but this is a topic that's about when people leave your organization. So it's about looking at ourselves. Before we kind of hop into that though, I have a question for you guys, and I'm going to ask you guys this question in just a second. I'm going to give you guys just a minute to hop on here. And the call is getting packed. So good morning, everybody. Okay, we got some people from Maryland. And Hungary is in the house, Georgia, South Dakota, Memphis, Tennessee. Alrighty. Okay, so here's my question for you guys. Have you ever left a company or organization or job or anywhere in your career? Have you ever left because you had a bad boss or manager or upline? Have you ever quit because of that reason before? Almost everybody has this in common. Nearly everybody can say, yes, that's why I left. And some people are like, I love the company, but I could not stand the leadership. And that's why I left. And we kind of all know that this is a really common problem, I feel like, in network marketing, especially because we're an 100% volunteer workforce, right? If you're an employee, you may stay in bad leadership for a time if you're getting paid. Right? If you have a salary coming in or a paycheck coming in, you may say like, I hate my job, I hate my boss, but I got to pay the bills, so I'm going to stay a little bit longer. When you're in an all volunteer workforce, like affiliates, independent contractors, if you're making commissions, you don't have to stay, right? Because you can go make a commission anywhere. So if you're having issues with your leadership, or whether it's your upline or your downline, your sideline or whatever, you're less motivated to stay. So this is extremely crucial for people in our company and in our organization. And not just that, but in our industry, it's important to know all of this stuff and to kind of dive into it, because we've got more at risk here, because we're not just paying people left and right. Now, we are based on commissions, but nobody's coming in with a guaranteed paycheck. So it's a little bit different. So if you guys have experienced before, if you've ever had a bad upline before, then this call is for you. Now, if you've been the bad upline before, this call is also for you. All right. So many of us have quit. We've agreed because we had a bad leader. Almost every person agrees with that. But the door swings both ways. So let's think about this for a minute. All organizations in history experience turnover, right? It's like a revolving door. This is normal operation of business. Sometimes people come in and sometimes people leave. It's nearly impossible to have a business where this isn't happening. And that's like in the corporate side of things, but this is also true in network marketing. And I know that when you're new at network marketing and maybe you don't have as much experience and you've just recruited a lot of people and then a lot of people have quit, you may take it personal. You may think, oh my gosh, like what happened? What did I do wrong? Or why are they leaving? Or why are they this way? Or whatever, especially when people join an organization, they come to the organization or they come to the company with a set of expectations. Maybe they got involved because of the company's mission or vision, right? Maybe they're really like attached to that or feel somewhat connected to that. And that's why they are in this, company. Or maybe they came in because of the compensation plan, right? Maybe some people are here for that. I know Robert Hollis talks about the comp plan and he says, this is like the best I've ever seen. So, some people are coming in for that. Some people are coming in for just having the ability to have new opportunities or new ways to grow. And this is, like I said, true on the job side as well as on the network marketing side. And then lastly, sometimes people come in for the benefits that they get from being in that organization. So when people start, there's a lot of reasons why they start. But there's also a lot of reasons why people leave. So when somebody leaves an organization or team or company, their desire to quit is almost always attached to the need to get away from a poor leader. This applies to nonprofits, for-profit companies, and also volunteer organizations. So I will say this, though. Now, everything, I'm going to get a little Bob Proctor on you guys for just a minute, but I'll say this, like everything is all about alignment, right? It's all about energy. And, sometimes people need to go, right? There are sometimes we encounter people in our team and you're like, I can't wait till you quit. And I'm going to tell you guys my story a little bit here, but I almost quit MyDailyChoice in the beginning because I had a bad upline too. So I completely understand if you've ever been in that situation before. But why I didn't quit is not just because Josh told me you can't quit. I need you on this journey with me. You can't just quit because of a bad upline. The reason I didn't is because my vision was bigger and beyond my ties to my upline or not. But like I said, it's all about alignment. While I was not particularly aligned with my upline then, I knew that I could just be the leader that I needed to be to create my own little energy bubble somewhere else. So like I said, sometimes it's really great when people leave, but sometimes we're the reason that they're leaving. So it's important to know the difference between the two. Here's the other deal. In network marketing, if you've been around for some time, you know that sometimes there is team drama. And sometimes it's not even just, isolated to the team. Sometimes it's everywhere. Or sometimes it's, based on what another company is even doing. Sometimes there's drama in network marketing and there's some individuals that are attracted to that and they gravitate towards that. And then there's others who just can't stand it. And they just are here to make money, to change their life, to be a part of the community and want to focus on growth. So sometimes when you have the drama, alignment over here, and you've got the growth and the serious leaders over here, and they're clashing, you have some kind of miscommunications, lack of trust, and things happen in your organization. So sometimes when teams like this with the drama quit, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But again, it's all about aligning to kind of where you belong and where you fit into that organization. So who do people quit? Let's talk about that for a sec. Sources estimate that 65% of people leave their companies because of their managers or because of their direct upline. People don't quit their job or the company. They don't leave the company. They're quitting the leadership, right? So the company doesn't do anything negative to them. They don't, rip things up from under them. They don't necessarily change the comp plan right away or whatever. Sometimes it's not always the company. It's just the leadership that's within their organization. And then also sometimes people quit because of their sidelines. I was in a company at one point in time. It was, I would say 90% female and nothing wrong with that, but it had a different dynamic. We'll just say that there was a little extra more drama than I was comfortable with. And it wasn't even isolated to my team. It felt like it was the culture company wide. And I just knew personally, I did not fit into that. So I quit that company because of my coworkers or because of my sidelines, because I just didn't feel like I belonged there. And I feel like one thing MyDailyChoice has done right is we've kind of created a collaborative one team environment. And, if Lynn's having a call, Chris Robinson can invite people, or if Robert's having a call, Tina Joy will partner with them on that. And I think that's really important to have kind of a collaborative working environment so that we don't have it's my team, it's my secrets, it's my training. You can't join this or that. I mean, I like really keeping that open communication between all teams so that, ultimately we can work together. But not all companies function that way. If you've ever been in another, company before, you may have experienced, the latter before. So again, that's something that we work hard to kind of equalize. Robert said something that I'll never forget is MDC is kind of like the land of all of our misfits, where everybody can come, everybody's welcome, come as you are. If you want to wear Hawaiian shirts to convention, do it. If you want to wear cowboy boots to convention, do that, just come as you are. And let's not focus on so much on what we look like, but how we are together collectively. So anyway, just a little side note there. Sometimes people quit because of the culture, right? Or because of their coworkers or their sideline people in their organization. Now, when people first start a new company, they're very optimistic, right? And they generally receive first good impressions. They're so excited. They have their vision. They got their mindset fixed. They're ready to go make their list, ready to start building. But sometimes it turns sour after a while. And So why people quit? I mean, let's dive into some of the reasons why people quit. People quit leaders who devalue them. Okay, this is like basically like, how can you add value to somebody's life if you're continually taking value away from them? If they're acting superior, sometimes you've had an upline along the way that's acted superior. They treat you with disdain or contempt. People want to be appreciated. They don't have to be doing this. They could go to another company anytime. So if you're talking down on them or trying to, like Robert said, I keep using Robert, but I just remember all his like analogies. If you're beating up your cows because they're not producing more milk, you're devaluing them, right? They're not going to want to stay, and they're not going to want to produce for you. So you have to value your people. You have to appreciate your people. You have to recognize your people and let them know that you see them and you see their accomplishments and that everything that they're doing is important and that we see it and we appreciate it. So I've made some changes with myself and how I talk to people also, because sometimes I can be guilty of this as well, not necessarily devaluing people, but just being short. I see the mission, I see the goals. All right, this is what we're doing, this, and this. And if my people on my team are crushing it, I'm like, all right, great, we're moving. And I have to slow down and say, wait a minute, give them credit where credit is due. And I don't even think about it sometimes, but I've made a conscious effort in my own leadership to try and really let people know that I appreciate them. I appreciate their hard work, that I see their hard work, and that they deserve the kudos for that. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I know that, with a corporate team in place and with all of our affiliates, like we stand on the shoulders of you guys, of you guys are the giants. You guys are what make our company. And so it's important to always put that appreciation and back into the field and into the corporate team that's holding everything together. So, but people quit leaders if they devalue them. I mean, who would to stay in an abusive relationship? Like, nobody wants to stick around for that. Now, what's interesting is some people do stick around with that because they don't even recognize it right away. They just know that they feel bad about showing up every day. Sometimes they can't even pinpoint it, but they're not going to stick around if that's how it is. People need positive feedback and they need reinforcement. It is impossible to add value to somebody that we devalue, and contempt creates unsuccessful relationships. I know in our last call, we talked about we're creating partnerships with people. Like, every person that you enroll is now a franchise in your organization. And if you're beating up all your partnerships, you're not going to have any partnerships left. So it's important to nurture these relationships so that they can grow. The solution there is to look for people's value and express appreciation for them, right? So we have to make sure we are nurturing these partnerships so they can grow. Number 2 is people quit leaders who are untrustworthy. Effective leaders ensure that people feel strong and capable. So again, a lot of this is, sometimes it's even not even like our intentions either, but having trust with your field and your people in your team is so important. Trust in a leader is essential if other people are going to follow you. So that means you got to do what you're going to say you're going to do, right? You got to be believable. You got to be credible and trustworthy. Trust is developed through consistency in behavior when words and deeds are congruent. So again, this is just following through with what you're going to say. If you say you're going to go here, then do that. If you say you're going to do this, then do that. If you say you're not going to do that, then don't do that. This is so important, and it's something that I have worked on myself as well, and I get pulled in a lot of different directions, but I know that if I make a promise to somebody, I have to fulfill that promise. Otherwise, I'm not going to have any leaders, right? Nobody's going to want to work with me if I'm just talking out of my butt and I'm not following through. So, it's so important. You have to act. If you're acting inconsistently with what you're saying and doing, you don't have no trust with your people. And if you have no trust with your people, there's no way that you can lead them. And sometimes this is just bad communication, right? Which is also important to know. You could have the best intentions, but if your actions aren't matching your intentions, you're losing credibility. So you have to be clear with your communication and follow through with whatever you're saying. Now, here's the other deal is if you're seeking personal gain above shared gain, you're putting your personal goals ahead of your team goals, people are going to lose trust in you also for that. If you're withholding information, not being transparent, people are going to lose faith in you for that. If you're lying or telling half-truths, making things up, to like inflate yourself over others, this is going to also hurt your ability to build trust with people. And also the last thing is being closed-minded. Being closed-minded is saying, this is how we run our group. This is the way we're doing it. This is how you have to do it. If you don't do it my way, that's the highway. You're not going to build trust with people, and you're not going to build them up as people themselves. So when leaders break trust with their people, it's like breaking a mirror. You can glue all the pieces back together, but there's always going to be cracks. And, if you've ever been in a long-term relationship before, have you guys heard of this before? Have you experienced this before? Where like, and I am guilty too of this as well. And so that's why I'm bringing this up. But if you've been in a relationship long-term before, and you start to get to know the person, and you start to anticipate their missteps, right? Like, I already know you're going to forget this, or I already know you're not going to do this. And so you're already painting in your mind how this person's going to fail you. If they've broken that mirror with you, those cracks are still there. And then if they fail you again, you're going to have that self-fulfilling prophecy, which is, see, I knew that was going to happen. This is actually something I did some personal mentorship with Ray Hayden over the last, several months that he's helped me with. He said, listen, don't see people as they are. See them how you want them to be. And that was like a really pivotal moment for me, because I'm like, but I have experiences with this person. So I already know what they're going to do. And he said, but no, you need to see people for how you want them to be, not for how they've been to you in the past. And I'm like, so I just have to keep giving like second chances over and over and over again. Like, at some point, though, I closed that door. And he said, no, he's like, listen, he's like, I understand where you're coming from here, but keep in mind that if you are changing your vision that you're casting over this person, they're going to somehow fulfill what you are seeing in them. And that kind of blew me away, because I'm like, okay, so then I have to have every day water under the bridge. Every day is fresh start. Every day I'm going to give the person an opportunity. And I had to go through this with my son, especially, because my son is like, okay, I'm going to be like this now. I'm going to be behaved. I'm going to show up on time. I'm going to get out of bed when I need to and show up to breakfast. And then the next day he doesn't do it, right? He sleeps in. Or he ignores his phone calls when I'm trying to call him, right? This is parenting like a teenager 101 for just a second. And so my mind's thinking like, well, I already know what you're going to do. You already showed me what you're going to do. Your actions are inconsistent. What I had to do instead to kind of help him shift as a human is give him the opportunity to step into his new self. If I was always holding him to his old version of himself, he's never going to get out of that cycle. So I had to keep putting growth mindset into him. I had to keep saying, listen, I know you're evolving. I know you're not going to be perfect. And I know that you're a work in progress. And I'm going to give you the space and the grace to make that change, because I see the future you, even if you don't see the future you. And so I'm going to get into that in just a minute on how to cast a vision for people. But those are just some of the things that kind of I've experienced over time is give people the opportunity to make changes and not just expect that people have to be perfect overnight. So if you had a bad upline, but if they were working towards their own greatness, I think there's still a lot of potential there. So if you've lost trust with people in the past, just try and see them for how you'd like them to be. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't set boundaries for yourself, especially when we're talking about abusive relationships. Should you stay in that relationship? No, you shouldn't. Probably not, right? So I don't want to go to that far extreme, but to always cast a positive vision over people, even if they've done you wrong in the past. Okay, so let's move on to our next thing. How can leaders gain trust? Because we've all identified that leadership is trust. How can leaders gain trust? Number one, they maintain integrity. Number two, openly communicate their vision and their values. This is so, so important. You have to openly communicate the vision. If you're not openly communicating the vision, then you're going to have a lot of people wandering into the wilderness in your team. Okay, so it's important to cast that vision over your team and say, hey, this is what we're working towards. This is how you're going to help. This is how you're going to contribute to getting to our goals. And these are the values that we hold dear to ourselves that we're going to not compromise on. And number 3 is show respect for your fellow, people in your team as equal partners. Again, that's that partnership that you're creating. 4 is focus on shared goals more than personal agendas. Everybody wants to hit super affiliate, yes, but how many 10Ks will it take for you to get there? How many 25Ks are you going to have to raise up? How many 50Ks and 100Ks are you going to have to develop in order to hit your goal? And then number 5 is do the right thing regardless of personal risk. It's always about doing the right thing. And sometimes you know what you're supposed to do. You have that gut feeling, you know what the right move is, but what holds you back is fear. Sometimes that's fear of criticism, fear of looking stupid if you make a misstep, fear of if it doesn't work out, what are people going to think or say, right? But if you're always doing the right thing, regardless of personal risk, it always works out. And it doesn't necessarily work out immediately. There may be a period of time where things are a little rocky, but if you're doing the right thing, it's always going to work out because this is the law of karma. What you put in is what you're going to get out. And if you're making steps in your leadership journey out of fear, right? I don't want to piss off that leader, even though this leader is being awful to the team, but they're bringing in a lot of value, or not a lot of value. They're bringing a lot of volume in your team, but they shouldn't be there because of the way you're treating people or whatever. Have the courage to do the right thing and to focus your energy on not just the person that's bringing in all the volume, but in also maintaining integrity for the rest of the people on your team. We actually went through this in early MyDailyChoice history. We had some leaders that were cross-recruiting and Josh was like, but there are only leaders. Like, what do we do? Like, do we keep them even though they're clearly violating policies, or do we risk it and risk losing them all and do the right thing? And I said, we do the right thing. Like, who cares if our volume goes to 0? That's fine. Like, then we're going to attract the right people to us because we've cleared all the negative and the people that don't belong off the bus. And one thing I've always said is the right people will not join you until the wrong people are gone. And so when we're looking at people that are quitting, sometimes people need to go, right? And that's okay. Sometimes people need to go because if they don't and they're kind of like a cancer in your organization, as long as you're doing the right thing, the right people are going to show up. So like I said, it's a door that swings both ways. So you have to kind of use your own discernment here when it comes to how you're maintaining your team and the relationships on your team. I for sure am not going to sell out for a high volume, leader if they're doing the wrong things. I'm willing to take the risk. I'm willing to, have the courage to do what's right, even if it hurts my paycheck in the process, because I know that what I put out is always coming back to me. So building trust is a matter of integrity and communication. Now, the next thing, number 3, people quit leaders who are incompetent. Okay, so if you're a level 4 leader and somebody on your team is a level 8, like on your downline, maybe you've enrolled a level 8 leader. Now, this is kind of a weird paradox because we always say recruit up. I find it sometimes difficult to recruit up. I feel like, honestly, you have to be on the path to being a level 8 leader if you want to attract level 8 leaders. If you're a level 4 leader and you're trying to get a level 8 leader, eventually the level 8 leader is going to say, I want to grow and I can't grow because my leader that I'm following is my lid, right? So if you're not consistently growing towards becoming a better leader and learning new things and being competent in your leadership, it's going to be very difficult to retain people who are surpassing you. Now, we say we want you to surpass us, absolutely, but we also have to have a personal commitment to our own growth so that we can always support the people who are growing in our organization. Okay, so people quit people who are incompetent. Leaders need to inspire confidence in their people through competence. For instance, if I am not producing at all, and I'm saying to my team, you guys all need to produce. I'm not going to produce, but you have to produce. Like, eventually my team's going to be like, first of all, how do we produce? We can't learn from you. And then secondly, if you want us to produce and you're not producing, then how is that going to ever work, right? So you have to be able to walk the talk, practice what you're preaching, and make sure you're in a complete alignment there. So the next thing is incompetent leaders are a distraction to their team. this is the other thing, right? If you're an incompetent leader and you're not personally growing every day, you're not leveling up, you're not learning new things to teach your team or to bring value to your team, you're going to end up being a distraction, because you know what happens is when you don't have a personal growth plan in place and you're trying to be a leader, what happens is you have one negative thought, right? And then you don't correct it because you're thinking you're invincible. So you don't need to read, you don't need to study, you don't need to better yourself. You don't have to study sales or marketing or relationships or communication. You don't have to do any of that, right? Because you already have everything you need. You already know everything. You hit a top rank, you're good, right? We have this illusion that once you hit the top, you're done learning, and I think we learn this in school because once you hit 12th grade, education is optional after that. After you graduate high school, everything, your growth after that is optional. Nobody's forcing you to grow at that point. So, but it's important to know that if you're not continually growing, you're going to be a distraction to your team, because you're going to have one negative thought, and that negative thought is going to turn into another negative thought. And then that's going to go to another and another. And you're going to spiral down this rabbit hole of negativity where you are subconsciously literally watering the weeds. You're watering the weeds in your garden, in your organization, and not even realizing it. You become a distraction to your team. So it's important that when you have that first negative thought, shut it down right away. Shut it down, course correct, get yourself back on track, get your team back on track. Oh my gosh, did you hear this is what's happening? Now we could go down this whole rabbit hole of rumors and drama and negativity, or, oh my gosh, this is going on over here. We could do that and become a huge distraction to our growth, or we could cut it off and say, no, we're going to continue to grow. We're going to stay committed to our vision. We're going to stay on our mission. We're going to keep pressing forward because we have all the tools, we have the vision, we have the sight to know how to get there. So it's important to know that if you are an incompetent leader, the last thing you want to do is become a distraction or get involved with distractions on your team, because it's just taking time and energy off of what you could be doing and what you could be creating and how you could be growing. Okay, so this takes the focus off the organization and place it onto their own behavior, which is kind of interesting. So people naturally follow leaders that are stronger than themselves. Like, I'm not going to go look for somebody that knows less than I do about network marketing. Now that doesn't mean you can't learn from them. I actually got into a little debate with my 16-year-old about this too. He said, you can learn from kids, I said, yes, I can learn from kids for sure. I learn from my kids all the time. They're on a lower level than me. I've already mastered what it's like to be a kid. So I'm probably not going to take their business advice, right? So I'm probably not going to want to be led by them. Although I can learn from them, I'm probably not going to want to be led by them. I'm always looking for somebody that's above where I have been. Like, I want to seek out mentors that are beyond where I have been. I can't learn something from somebody if I've already learned a lesson myself, or I'm trying to learn from somebody that hasn't even been to where I've been, right? So this is an interesting concept as a leader, because you have to be the one that's consistently learning so that you can provide answers to your team. If you're not growing, guess what? Your team's going to come to you with problems that you don't know what to do with. And you say, oh my gosh, I don't know. And what do? You call the next upline. Who has the answer? Because I don't have the answer, right? And so here's the interesting thing. As I've been a super affiliate in this company, I've realized that, we have this like illusion that when you hit the top rank, now your problems are gone because your bills are paid, your car's paid off, your house paid off, whatever, all these things are like so magically happening. Guess what? That's great that can happen as you're hitting top ranks, but guess what? New levels bring new devils. Josh and I joke sometimes with each other. We're like, remember back in the day when all we had to worry about was making money? like that was an easy problem to solve. We solved that problem. But once you solve one problem, guess what? Get ready for the next problem. We have this illusion in leadership that you're not going to have to face any problems. Leadership is solving problems. That's literally what it is every single day. Josh, like a couple weeks ago, he's like, oh my gosh, today is like a fire drill. Like, this is happening over here. This is happening over here. And I'm like, and guess what? That's what makes you a good leader. It's because you can show up to the firefight every single day. You can come up with the decisions and the actions and the answers just when we need it. That's when leaders are made. Leadership is solving problems. It's not avoiding problems, and it's not expecting that there will be no problems. Because guess what? If you've got people on your team that are like, brand new to some challenges you've already been through, you can advise them, you can coach them, you can mentor them through that difficulty. Whereas if you have not been through that experience and that challenge or personal growth yourself, you're going to have a really difficult time giving them any advice. And I think that sometimes leaders get into this weird, situation where they're like, I don't have the answers, so I don't know. So you lose confidence and you don't know how to give advice. You don't know how to give training because you haven't done it yourself yet, or you haven't learned how to do it yourself. There's literally I've always had the mindset that everything is figure outable. Everything. Like, for instance, Josh never had experience running a network marketing company until MyDailyChoice. Does that mean that he will not have the answers? No, it means he has the mindset that everything is figure outable. They said we couldn't do CBD. They said there's no way to do CBD and MLM. They said that, there's no way we could have a house of brands. They said there's no way that, we could have such a complex business. They said there's no way that our software could support our growth. They said there's no way that, we could maintain the level of, leadership that we had on our corporate side and on our affiliate side. There's no way we could do it because we've never been there. But I'm here to say that just because you haven't been there doesn't mean you can't find the answer. You can find the answer. Okay, because there's always an answer. And guess what? This is why I'm so obsessed with reading, because it's already been done before. I haven't done it before, but it's already been done before. I can learn from somebody that's done it before. I can open up a book and study the challenges and experiences somebody else has been through, and I can learn from them. And this is how being a leader is in action. It's figuring it out. It's knowing that problems are actually opportunities. When you have problems in your business, this is an opportunity for you to level up. If you never had the opportunity of a problem in your life, you would never have to learn anything new, right? So I think it's important to have that mindset going in. You don't have to be, the wise guru at the top that has all the answers. You have to have the mindset that you're in the process of becoming your best self. And at some point, you have to give yourself credit for learning along the way, because that is inspiring to other people to take that responsibility upon themselves to continue their growth. And guess what? If you have an organization where everybody's growing, you have success. So I want to just share that with you guys, because it's so important to me, because I have not always had the answers, but I've always had the mindset that I'm going to find the answers and I'm going to figure things out. And as long as you have that mindset, you might not always get it right. It might not be perfect. It might not always be pretty, but at least you're going in the right direction and you're taking people with you on the right path. Okay, next I want to share with you guys, people quit leaders who are insecure. And this is what I mean by this is they want to be the deal. Okay, these leaders want to be the deal. Like they want to be front and center. They want to be on stage. They want to have the talk time. They want their headshots all over the place. They need the recognition. They need the glorification. They have to fulfill that within their own ego. They can't uplift people on their team to surpass them because they need to be the deal. We've had leaders like this in the past, and I'm so grateful they're no longer in our company. And I'm just going to leave it at that. Because true leadership is not about being the deal. It's not about being the guy at the top by yourself. It's about how many people you take with you, right? It's about how many hands you're holding along the way. It's how many people that are on the mission together with you. If you don't know that about leadership yet, and you think it's about this glorification, process of fulfilling your own ego, it's not. That only means that you're insecure as a leader, and insecure leaders are not effective, okay? Insecurities may come out in displays of fear or suspicion or distrust or jealousy. If people on your team, want to go beyond what you've learned and you're not allowing them to because you want to keep them down, you want to be the lid, okay, then that's your own fear, your own suspicion. That's not an effective way to lead. Exceptional leaders do two things. One, they develop others. And two, they work themselves out of a job. Meaning they train other people and help develop their potential so that they can succeed without their help. One thing I've always told my team is my goal is to make you guys independent affiliates. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to be there and answer your questions. That doesn't mean that, oh, I've already told you everything and now you're good and goodbye. Now go, sail your ship, have fun. That's not what I mean by that. But here's what I do mean. It's important that we're creating independent affiliates, not codependent affiliates. Because if you're creating codependency in your organization, one, you're going to burn yourselves out. And number two, these people will never rise above you. And you need them to rise above you if you want to secure yourself as a leader, okay? You want to work yourself out of the job. If Lynn can do a better presentation than me, I'm so for that. Like, absolutely. Lynn, get up here, get your mic, get mic'd up, get on stage and teach us what we need to know. Like, I'm so all for that. I want my people to be better than me because that means I did a good job. And that means they can be independently wealthy, whether I'm still in the organization or not, whether I'm, fully, doing everything or not, because it's going to be super hard if you're always the only leader. Like eventually you're going to have to train people so that they can lead. You need to pass the torch. That's super important to be, able to have the mindset going into leadership is that you want these people to do better than you. Okay, so let's talk about this next. All right, 6-step recipe for retention. No matter how good of a leader you are, you're occasionally going to lose people. It doesn't matter. Even if you do everything right, you're like, oh my God, I'm amazing at all of this. Like, I'm doing it right all along. Okay, you're still going to lose people along the way. And this is, I think, goes back to energy. Energy goes where it needs to go. Like energy attracts, okay? And you can see that even with the polarization we have, even in politics, like it's like a whole wave of energy. And the reason I'm saying that is because you can't necessarily stop everybody from leaving. At some point, you have to accept that people are going to go where they go. They go to the next chapter of their life. They go to the next, company or whatever, and that's okay. You're occasionally going to lose people. However, what you can do is make yourself the kind of leader that other people want to follow. So number one, here's the number one recipe for retention. There's 6 steps. Number one is I take responsibility for my relationships with others. Number one, I take responsibility for my relationships with others. You have to have the responsibility and understanding that it is up to you if you have a working relationship with people on your team. Number two, when people leave me, I do an exit interview. This is important, okay? Sometimes people leave, their jobs because they want more money, they want a promotion. Sometimes people leave their company because, they want to sell a different product. Maybe it's not available in their country. I don't know. Like, people all leave for different reasons. It's important to conduct an exit interview. Hey, I wish you the best on your next adventure, on your next journey. But can you please share with me, why it is that you're leaving? I need to know that, because if it's because of me, then I need to make corrections in myself, right? If you're leaving because of something I said or something I did, I need to know that, because I want to make sure that I don't, make everybody leave because of me, right? So you want to know what the reasons are. And if it's something like they're leaving because they don't like the flavor of the greens, okay, like, all right, I understand why you're leaving. That's great, and I feel for you, and I'm sorry that you didn't agree with the flavor, or whatever the reason is. You got to have that information. So number two is, conduct an exit interview. And this is something weird that happens in network marketing. I'm just going to say really quick that when somebody leaves our team, our first reaction is to bash them all the way out to the next deal. Oh my God, they went over here, so let's talk trash about why they're leaving and who they're taking with them. No, that stops right here. This is not how it's done. Okay. If you are in a job and you put in your 2 weeks notice, your manager is not going to beat you up on the way out, right? It's just not going to happen. They're going to say, we wish you the best on your next adventure. We wish you all the best. We want to keep the door open. If you ever, have a change in employment and you want to come back, you're always welcome back, whatever. Don't put that negative energy out there. It's not worth it. It definitely is just ineffective. And so when people leave your team, send them away with love, okay? Because they're going to think twice about leaving, for one, and for two, if they experience a lot of craziness and the leadership in the company they go to, they may come back. You don't want to burn bridges, because you never know when your paths are going to cross again. Okay, so number three, I put a high value on those who work with me. You got to put a high value on people that you work with. Number 4, I put credibility at the top of my leadership list. Credibility has to be at the top of your leadership list. Number 5, and I'm probably going too fast, you guys. I see Lynn's taking notes. She's like, oh my God, she's going through like 3 of them right now. Okay, I'll slow down for just a sec. Number 4, I put credibility at the top of my leadership list. Number 3 was I put a high value on those who work with me. And number 5, I recognize, this is a big one, and I've mentioned this on previous calls. Number 5, I recognize that my positive emotional health creates a secure environment for people. How many of us have had an upline or somebody on your team that's just lost their mind all over Facebook, like just not in a good mental space, and yet they're like, oh, but I'm going to keep leading you. No, ma'am. like you have to have a positive emotional health. You have to take this upon yourself. First of all, it is a choice. Okay, it is a choice to harness this within yourself. You have to create positive emotional health within yourself first so that you create a secure environment for people to grow. Imagine if you're 3 levels down, right, and you're joining this leader that you first of all, you're a first upline that showed you the presentation. They're so fired up. They're all in. And then what happens? You throw them into your leadership chat and the leader's having a bad day. And they're like pissed off about everything. And you're putting your brand new positive person in there. That's the fastest way to poison them. You cannot poison your team and expect them to grow. It's just not going to work. So you have to recognize that if you're having a bad day, please stay out of your chats. Okay. Please do not post all over Facebook. Please just take a day off. Go have a mental health day if you need to, but don't bring all your drama to your team. This is a professional environment. Okay. You cannot mix your personal and your business so closely to the point where you're poisoning everybody in your team because you're having a bad week. Right? So it's important for us to take inventory of our own personal health, okay? Take responsibility there so that we can create a secure environment so that people can grow. Because just because there's 5 people over here that maybe don't like the taste of some product, like why would you want to put that into your team environment and then make everybody else think about that? I've seen this like so many times along the way. It's just crazy. That leaders allow negativity in their chats or in their groups. You never want to let any negative, thing go on in your groups because you don't know how many fired up people are in there, right? You don't know how many people are excited and growing and positive. And if you're distracting them with negativity, they're for sure not going to grow and you're going to wonder why, right? So if you're having a bad day, don't make it public information. Like learn it yourself, deal with yourself, take a day off, and then make sure that your work environment is always clean and working in the right direction. Okay. Number 6, I will have a teachable spirit and nurture my passion for personal growth. I will have a teachable spirit and nurture my passion for personal growth. So having a teachable spirit is always knowing that there's more to learn. There's always more to learn. It doesn't matter if you hit the top rank or not. You're still learning. And if you stop learning, then you're going to stop leading also. So you've got to have a passion for personal growth. It's literally the only way that this business works. And I think that's the hardest pill for people to swallow when they come in is they think, okay, I'm going to master sales, marketing, lead funnels. I'm going to master buying lead lists, whatever, calling people on the phone. I'm going to do all that. And I'm going to ignore my personal growth. Like that doesn't work. It doesn't work because we're leading people, not just in this business, right? We're leading them on a lifelong journey. That's the difference between network marketing and working for any other company is personal growth is mandatory for success. So if you're coming in and you're thinking like, I'm going to succeed by going around personal growth, I'm going to tap around, I'm going to dance around it. You're going to have a really difficult time because guess what? Because entrepreneurship comes with a whole bunch of challenges. And if you don't have the mindset that, oh, it's just a challenge, on to the next. Oh, it's another challenge. Okay, I'm going to solve it and get to the next. If you have the mindset that you hit a challenge and it's the end of the world, you're never going to hit the top, which is why personal growth is essential for succeeding. Okay. Last thing I want to say here is a quote by John Maxwell, because he wrote the book after all. He said, "It's wonderful when people believe in their leader. It's more wonderful when the leader believes in the people." It's wonderful when the people believe in their leader, but it's more wonderful when the leader believes in their people. I think that's so, so important, because you know what? You don't know where these people are coming from that are joining your team, you know, and some of them are down and out. People are coming to us because they are missing something in their life that they're trying to fulfill, whether that's income, time freedom, job freedom, or whatever. They're coming from all walks of life, and they might not necessarily have a vision for themselves right now. It's so important as a leader to cast a positive vision for the people that are coming in. It's so important. You know, when Megan first joined me, right, several years ago, she said she didn't have a lot of belief in herself at the time. She was living in a really small, like 400 square foot kind of, house. And she was walking to and from McDonald's every day to use the Wi-Fi to build her business. Within a couple of years of her being in this business, she became a 6-figure income earner, right? And she hit a lot of these top ranks and things like that. But she didn't necessarily have the vision when she first joined us, because in her reality, she saw everything but that. You know, she was seeing poverty. She was seeing all kinds of things that were negative in her life. And I said, "Listen, ma'am, I know what's happening in your life right now. I know that you see that. However, I'm going to challenge you to see something else. I'm going to challenge you to see something better, to see something, a bigger house. I want you to see a car, just any car, to drive you to your Wi-Fi or to get your own Wi-Fi. Like, I'm going to challenge you to start seeing something else for yourself, because if you continue to see what is based on your past thoughts and actions, you're never going to get to the next level." So as people are joining our business, it's important to cast a positive vision over them and what they can achieve. We have to believe in our people. We have to let them know that because others have done it before us, there is a way, there is a pathway to get to where they want to go. You know, the worst thing that can happen is if you create a negative vision for people, right? So that's why it's important to just cast that positive vision for people and to believe in your people. So I want to just leave it with you guys with this message today. Leadership's all about growth. It's about transparency. It's about trust. It's about communication. And if you're doing right by others, your team is going to grow. Okay. And if not, it's on us to look at ourselves when people quit or when people leave, because maybe we have to repair something within us so that we can be the best leader for other people. All right, guys, thank you so much for hopping on. Next week, I just want to say I'm not going to have this call next week because I'm going to be filming, but we are going to resume the week after. All right, guys, I'll see you in 2 weeks. See ya.